What's up guys, I'm Ace, and today we're here to talk about Aqua Intense, which is a clone from Parfums Vintage of the 2016 version of Paco Rabanne's Invictus Aqua. This one is one of my all-time favorites, and it's one of the favorites of the community in general. I know a lot of people that really like this one. It's one of the greatest of all time in my opinion, and the new one doesn't quite cut it for me. It's okay, but the newer version doesn't quite cut it for me. So I wanted to check out Aqua Intense from Parfums Vintage and see if that was any better. So within any clones that I do, there are three categories that I like to cover. First one is how good of a clone is it? Second one is how good is it as a fragrance on its own? And third off is what is the price to value proposition? All right, so for starters, how good of a clone is it? It's not bad. It's a reasonably good clone. I would say this one's a reasonably good clone. It's not exact. It's Aqua Intense is a bit more rounded overall, while the original, the 2016 Invictus Aqua, is sharp. So this is a little bit smoother, a little bit more rounded, and this is a little bit more sharp. This is a little bit less synthetic than the original, a little bit more natural. But it's still a heavily synthetic fragrance. It's just this one is noticeably just to the extreme synthetic. This one's a little bit less extreme. So just overall, it's almost like it's just a smoothed out version. I would say it's an 80 to 85% clone. So not exact, not exactly the same, but very close. And I think it's a reasonably good clone. I think an 85% clone is a pretty good clone. Next up is how good is it as a fragrance on its own? Well, the projection is moderate to above average. Not quite as powerful as this, but it is still above average projection from this, I would say. And longevity is a solid 10 hours, I would say. I think this one does on me last a little bit longer still, but once you get over the 10-hour mark, which this does, it's all kind of a wash. Like it does hit the 10-hour mark, and it projects for a lot of that. Again, not as much as this, but it's getting there. Definitely better performance and longevity than the current formulation of Invictus Aqua that, you know, it changes the smell a little bit. I would say this does smell closer to this than the current Invictus Aqua from Paco Rabanne. Sorry, but I digress. As a fragrance on its own, it is good. It's good performance. The scent character overall is very good. It's synthetic, but it's a nice, sweet, aquatic, fruity. I would say this gets a solid 8.5 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10 for me as a fragrance on its own. So not bad. And the price to value proposition, I would say, so here's the little dance I would say you got to play with these two. If you can get this under 200, like if you could find this in the 150, 160 range, I'd say go with this 100%. Get the Invictus, the real deal. If you're paying over 200 for this, I would say better off with this. This is a better deal. But if it's in between, that's just kind of up to you. I don't know. That's a hard call because this is better, but it's not much better. Because that sharp syntheticness is kind of why this is good. So you're losing a little bit of that, losing a little bit of the complement factor. So it's a hard one. It's a hard decision. It depends on how expensive this is. As time goes on, this will be a better and better deal as these get more and more expensive. But that's all I can do. It's one of those where you're going to have to see if you can sample both and decide for yourself. I will say they're both fantastic fragrances on their own. If this one did not exist, awesome fragrance, and this one on its own, awesome fragrance. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. Hopefully I at least helped you guys a little bit. I would say overall, this does get a seal of approval from me. Not as good of a clone as an Emperor or a Sunset in Heaven, but a solid clone nonetheless, and a high quality clone, really even higher quality than the original that they're cloning. Although for me, unfortunately, that syntheticness is some of what I like about the original. But yeah, that's my take. I will see you guys in the next one.